All right, guys, so Tim Walz went on Fox News, and he got ambushed. But I'm happy to report to you that the ambush failed. It didn't work. He was able to handle their nonsense pretty easily. Let's watch and we'll react.
I want to talk a little bit about your record as governor, because it elucidates for people how you may serve as whether you end up being the president. You'll be one heartbeat away should your ticket be successful. Wall Street Journal says this after you were chosen to join the ticket. As the Democratic governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz signed into law initiatives allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's licenses, qualify for free tuition at state universities, and enroll in the state's free health care program for low-income residents. Are those not magnets to draw people here, many times on dangerous journeys for themselves? And why should your taxpayers in Minnesota or across the states pay for those programs?
I love how they think that's a gotcha. Like, you tried to help everybody in the state of Minnesota. That's disgusting. What Fox News is trying to do here is say, oh, you're helping illegal immigrants more than you're even helping American citizens. Aha. But that's actually not what he did in Minnesota. What he did in Minnesota is he made the state better for absolutely everybody. And the second that they mention his record, if I'm Tim Walz, I'm going down the list, baby. I'm saying, you know what I did in Minnesota? Universal free school lunch for kids, universal free school breakfast as well for kids, legal weed, carbon-free electricity by 2040, tax rebates for the working class up to $1,300. I did 12 weeks paid family leave, 12 weeks paid sick leave. I raised the pay for nursing home workers by doing sectoral bargaining. I did $2.2 billion more in K-12 schools. I did free public college for the working class. I would go down the list of like, yeah, here are all the things I did, and I'm proud of that. Bring up my record again. Now, I do think that because he's with the Kamala campaign, he's sort of handcuffed a little bit. He can't go through his entire record, right? But bring up some of them, 12 weeks paid family leave and 12 weeks paid sick leave. You can fearmonger all you want about immigrants, but if at the end of the day, I'm giving everybody in the state 12 weeks paid family leave and 12 weeks paid sick leave, people are going to support that. In fact, the polls show it's 70 or 80% of the country that supports that. So they're trying the old ambush.
That's not the vice president's position, but I will say this. Minnesota ranks as a top 5 business state. We rank as a top 3 state for children living, and we're the top state for health care access. I would also add this. We also have some of the safest roads. Look, the vice president has made it clear that she has policies that make a difference. Her border policies are the most strongest, the fairest we've seen. It's
but now, Governor, you know a lot of people, including your own party, would not join that statement.
Wrong.
There are millions of people who have come here over the last few years that, they see this as an open border.
Well, simply, we have a policy. Donald Trump sees it as a political. Look, James Langford in Oklahoma, the Border Patrol agents, the Wall Street Journal, the Chamber of Commerce, all said pass this legislation. You have to have Congress to authorize 1,500 new border agents. You have to have Congress to authorize DOJ to speed adjudications on these asylum claims. Those are things that would actually work. Donald Trump told us for 4 years he would deal with this. He didn't. He didn't build his wall, 2%. Mexico didn't pay for it. This is a real bill that has bipartisan support. It has the experts on board, and it starts to tackle these issues. And we don't have to resort to demonizing people. We don't have to resort to making up or crafting stories, as Senator Vance said he did. Those things were not happening in Springfield, but it doesn't mean that we can't pass a piece of legislation to strengthen our border. That's what Kamala Harris is talking about.
Well,
She's talking
Governor,
about solving the problem.
That piece of legislation does include the wall that you guys have been so, you've disparaged that. I mean, the vice president has as well, so I don't know if she really intends to move forward with that. But it was negotiated by 3 or 4 senators, and many Republicans came out against it long before President Trump indicated he didn't like it either.
That's a total lie. The reason why Republicans torpedoed that bill is because Trump said, torpedo the bill, it'll help the Democrats. I don't want to help the Democrats. I want to run on the issue of the border being a mess. That's the fact. James Langford, a super conservative Republican, helped write the bill. What are you talking about here? And by the way, if the bill includes the wall, then why are you not calling out Trump's hypocrisy where he says he loves the wall, but he's against a bill that has the wall in it? Look, the fact of the matter is between Democrats and Republicans, they're very, very similar on the issue of the border, and everybody has been lying to you forever about that fact, right? Everybody has been lying to you forever about that. Yes, there's a record number of people coming in. What they don't tell you is there's also a record number of deportations happening, both as a raw number and a percentage. Biden and Kamala deported more people than Trump. Now, I don't love that. I didn't like the bill because it got rid of asylum over a certain number, right? But the facts are the facts. And they try to spin it like you guys are all pro-immigrant and you want to open up the border and that's chaos. And so why do you want to open the border? And what does he do? Easily dismantles that talking point.
I want to give you a chance, because you called yourself a knucklehead this week, to talk about some of your misstatements. Yes. You've modified your story or explained that you misspoke about things involving your military rank, about carrying a weapon in war, your 1995 DUI arrest, using IVF to have your beautiful children, Gus and Hope, being in Hong Kong and China in the summer of 1989 during the Tiananmen events. A lot of people would say they couldn't get away with saying, I'm just too passionate, my grammar's not right, I'm a knucklehead. What do you say to the American people who think, I don't know that I can trust this guy with all those modifications to be the potential commander-in-chief of this country?
I love how she do the, voters are concerned, and they don't know if they could trust. Really? Because when he went into the debate, he had like a plus 10 favorability rating, and then when it was done, it was like plus 37. So apparently people heard the, gosh, I'm a knucklehead sometimes, and they were like, nice, me too. I like this guy. And I love how look at these inaccurate things you said. And then you go down the list and it's all like personal life shit. Meanwhile, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think the rough number is like Trump told 32,000 lies while he was president. 32,000. Even if you say, hey, they were overzealous, they overcounted. Okay, let's say it's 15 or 16,000. That's incredible. And they lie about shit that's really consequential. We protected your jobs. We're going to bring back your jobs. Then they outsource 200,000, right? So it's not going to work. This is not going to work, man.
Yeah, well, I think they heard me. They heard me the other night speaking passionately about gun violence and misspeaking. And I got to be honest with you, Shannon, I don't think people care whether I used IUI or IVF when we talk about this. What they understand is Donald Trump would resist those things.
Exactly right. So he used IUI and not IVF, but it's still fertility treatment. Like, oh, bro, you really got him. And basically she's saying like, hey, you saying like, hey, I misspeak. That's not good enough. And he was like, really? I don't know if you caught the debate the other night, but I said I befriended school shooters. That was a misspeak. You want to put that up on a graphic for everybody to see? He said he befriended school shooters. Like, this is just hack bullshit, man.
I speak passionately. I had an entire career, decades before I was in public office. They know, and I'm very proud of my 24 years in service and my record. I have never disparaged someone else in this, but I know that's not what Donald Trump does. They disparage everyone. The personal attacks. I will own up when I misspeak. I will own up when I make a mistake. Let's be very clear. On that debate stage the other night, I asked one very simple question, and Senator Vance would not acknowledge that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. I think they're probably far more concerned with that than my wife and I used IUI to have our child, and that Donald Trump would restrict that. So I think folks know who I am. My constituents here in Minnesota have elected me 8 times. They know where I'm at, and I'm proud to be on the ticket, and we'll deliver just like we have here in Minnesota.
Right.
Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. I got one more for you guys. Here we go.
Well, we saw a blockbuster jobs report this week. We saw interest rates come down, and we've also seen that Vice President Harris laying out a middle-class agenda. Look, I was in Ohio yesterday, in Cleveland, in Cincinnati, and talking about this. Folks in Ohio know that Donald Trump's policies led to 180,000 manufacturing jobs leaving. They understand when he left office, we had more people unemployed percentage-wise than the Great Depression. What Vice President Harris is talking about is making it more affordable to buy housing, and we've seen it in Minneapolis. When you have more housing stock, we've seen rates go down. We've seen more houses available. Also, the idea of price gouging. With 37 states, Republican and Democratic states have this. Corn is about $4.10 or so a bushel. That's where it's been for many years, up and down. But prices at the grocery stores have skyrocketed, corporate profits have skyrocketed, and people are paying more. So we talk about that. And then I think the fundamental difference here is, too, is Donald Trump kept his promise. He cut taxes for the wealthiest. She's talking about making sure things like a child tax credit, $6,000 child tax credit, put more money in people's pocket, making sure that we're able to buy those things, whether it's a crib or it's baby formula, get started. And she's simply asking that we can pay for it by asking those at the top to pay their fair share. This is a fundamental difference in approaches to it, and we're seeing it working. We're seeing economists talk about Donald Trump's proposal to add a 20% sales tax will cost $4,000. Okay. That's everybody. That's not me saying it.
Absolutely flawless victory, bro. Flawless victory. Unleash this man. Unleash this man. Here he went into the lion's den and handled them easily. Let him do interviews let him do 3 or 4 interviews every single day. This is what we need, bro. This is what we need. Hiding him in the basement is not a good idea. The reason he was picked is because he's a good communicator and he's great in formats like interviews. Okay, let him out there. Let him out there. So that was very well done. The only portion where I didn't like his answers, it was on foreign policy. And I think he's handcuffed on that issue because the top of the ticket is Kamala, and also Joe Biden is currently the president. And so he can't really go out there and say what he really thinks. But this is a guy who opposed the Iraq War, even when it was unpopular to oppose the Iraq War. He fought the neocons and the deep state twice when they tried to bomb Syria, and he opposed sending weapons to Saudi Arabia when they were doing a genocide in Yemen. So his instincts on foreign policy are correct. He defended the uncommitted voters, right? His instincts are correct, but he's repping the top of the ticket, and Kamala's trying to both sides the genocide. And so that's the only area where he was weak in the interview. But outside of that, they tried to play gotcha. They failed miserably, and he dismantled them. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.